OpenAI has just released a brand new AI image generation model that could take the crown as the best AI image generation model to date. Releasing days after a brand new entrant into the AI image generation field, Reeve, topped the AI charts with an incredible new model that came out of nowhere. Well, it looks like this new OpenAI model could actually beat that. If you're interested in learning more about Reeve, I just made a video on it that's probably released a day or two ago. You can find it over here. This new OpenAI model replaces DALL-E as the de facto image generation model in ChatGPT. Now, it's currently available to all paid users, so Plus, Premium, Pro, I think, and it will become available to free users coming soon, although free users will be capped at 3 images per day. Aside from being incredible at image generation, the new model also comes with a few additional tricks up its sleeve. Being built into ChatGPT, it obviously comes with the ability to chat with ChatGPT about the images that you're generating. This allows you to iterate through the image, chat about specific elements of the image, and tell ChatGPT to change certain things. Doing this also means that the model needs to have a world understanding of the images that you generate. So from the examples that we've seen, you're able to prompt ChatGPT to make changes in the image, move the camera around, and it seems to have an understanding of the elements in the image and what needs to happen in the world around it. Which also means that, in theory, this brings a lot of potential to character consistency and allow us to tell stories across multiple frames. Now, while it's worth mentioning that these are really cool features and the model is very good at image generation, these are not new features. Gemini 2.0 Flash just released similar features a couple of weeks ago, and Reeve also has a similar feature set available to it. So in today's video, we'll be testing out the new OpenAI model, not only against how well it follows prompts and its image quality, but also how these additional features work in comparison to Google and Reeve. This video might get pretty lengthy, so I will put the chapters down below. Feel free to hop around the video to get to the part that you want. And wherever possible, I will try to include comparisons with other top models such as Midjourney, Flux 1.1, Redcraft, and so on. And with that, let's get started with the first part of this video, doing prompt comparisons. Now, I did just do a prompt test with my recent Reeve video, so we're gonna actually use the same prompts and see how OpenAI compares against Reeve and the other AI image generation models that I tested out in that video. However, at the end of that part, I'll also throw in a couple of additional new prompts to test out some of the strengths of the new OpenAI model. Specifically, it's supposed to be very good at text generation. So we'll throw that in at the end of this section. Before we start, I do want to mention that to use the new image generator, you need to be using the web version of ChatGPT. If you're on a Mac and you try and use the Mac app like I initially did, it will default to DALL-E, which freaked me out for a minute because I had upgraded specifically to do this video and test out the new image model, and it was driving me nuts that I couldn't use the new image generator. I went to the ChatGPT website, started using it there, and it started to work. So you can use it there, and you can use it also in Sora. If you want to use it in ChatGPT's chat mode, open up your ChatGPT interface, come over here and click the 3 dots, click create image, and you'll see this create image blue text appear, and then just type in the prompt that you want. And as you can see here, it will generate the images. However, it looks like the servers are overloaded and I've not been getting very good results from the chat. Hopefully we'll be able to work with this a little bit later in the video, but I have found great success using it through Sora. So you can go to sora.com, link up your account, and you should be able to start generating there. The interface is very similar to that of the Midjourney web interface as well as the Reeve. You've got your prompt box down over here, along with icons to attach images, pick how many image variations you want, as well as select a preset, which I will come back to later. This is a very cool feature. And then over here on the left, you can see images, videos, which are the top performing ones, the ones that you like, as well as your media. And with that, let's dive into the prompts. So I've picked prompts that will challenge the models in different ways, whether it's in text generation, multiple characters, and so on. And all of these prompts have come from the Prompt Crafters database, which I use all the time. So if you're looking for a prompt database to help you get started with image generation, you are not sure where to get started in terms of your composition, art styles, and so on, I strongly suggest checking out Prompt Crafters. I use it all the time to help me get started with image generation. It's a fantastically curated image prompt database. You can browse through the prompts using the visual catalog. And when you see something that you like as a starting point, for example, let's have a look at this image, it opens up and shows you the prompt that was used. However, it doesn't stop there. What makes this database incredibly powerful is each of the prompts have been broken down into key components. You can see over here that the art style has been pulled out, as well as various descriptors that make up the prompt. With this information, you can then take it and manipulate the prompt, take elements from it, and use it to build out your own prompt while having an idea of what the final result looks like. What's even cooler is all of those elements are linked together. So you can go to one of these tabs up here and look at art style, for example, and see all of the prompts that use a particular art style and what the results look like. We can see we've got a couple of cool ones here for comic book pages, RPG Maker, camera model references, and so on. There's even a section here for artists where whenever an artist is tagged on a prompt, it's reflected here. And this can be a great way to give a consistent style or feel to your image in line with that of an art style or artist. So to start off, I thought doing a product shot would be a great way to start. And the initial prompt was a pack of potato chips with the text delicious on it. And I do have to say that as a great first image, it is done phenomenally well. We've got the bag of potato chips here with the words delicious written in very crisp text. I do like the dramatic lighting that's used in both images. These could both very well be fantastic product shots for ads, although I don't know if they would be very useful for a catalog, for example. But still, it followed the brief perfectly. I have no complaints over there. For comparison, this is how the same prompt performed on the other models. Now, this is a fairly straightforward prompt, and you can see that most of the models performed very well, the weakest being Midjourney. Most of them have very crisp text, and what's worth noting is the weakest one here, but also the strongest in a strange way, is Reeve, where it did follow the brief very literally. It did give us the bag of potato chips, but unlike all of the other models, it didn't take a creative interpretation on the packaging. It just gave you a straight up basic bag of potato chips with the word delicious on it. And that's one of the strengths of Reeve, is that it is supposed to be very good at prompt adherence, able to handle lengthy prompts and very detailed elements. And we'll see how OpenAI's image generator performs against more detailed prompts later on in the video. But overall, pretty good starting place. Okay, the next one is a cute green and white fox with big eyes, cartoon style, in the style of Disney and Pixar animation. Now, I had a feeling that this prompt was going to fail because when you tried to do this previously with DALL-E, it would reject the image saying that it can't copy styles like Disney or Pixar and so on. So I'm happy to see that the image generator was able to produce something. I don't know if it followed the brief very well. In terms of image quality, I think the images are fantastic. There's no deformations or weirdness happening in the image. In terms of following the prompt, however, it performed very similarly to the rest of the leading models. Like all the other models, ChatGPT has opted for a chibi style. You can see here that all of the images have this cute little chibi style fox. Same thing here, it's a young chibi style fox. Whereas Reeve, on the other hand, actually produced a more adult looking fox, and definitely something that I think I would find in a Disney or Pixar movie. However, to give props to OpenAI's, I definitely could see this left version of the image being a younger version of this particular fox. So I'd say it's somewhere in between what Reeve produced and the other models. Okay, next. 80s inspired style artwork featuring retro fashion aesthetic with muted pastel colors, and in the background there is a city. I do have to say, I think for this particular prompt, 4O's image generator not just nailed it, but blew it out of the park. While with the other models, the Imagen, Midjourney, Flux, and Redcraft produced, I would consider a more aesthetically pleasing image, definitely more in line with the pastel colors, they didn't quite get the 80s retro look. Whereas Reeve nailed the 80s retro look, but I wasn't too happy about the color as well as the line art. ChatGPT has been able to nail both of those elements, particularly this image on the left. It really has that 80s, 90s anime aesthetic, modernized slightly. The character looks absolutely fantastic. It's pleasing to the eye. I see no strangeness or deformations in any of the body parts. And unlike the Reeve model, which I found the background to be very problematic, it generated a fantastic looking city background. So I have to say, for this particular prompt, ChatGPT absolutely nailed it. And I think they nailed the next one as well. So the next one was an 8-bit sky castle adventure scene, pixelated secret passages within a moat below, and a wizard's tower reaching towards the sky. all set in a lively pixelated sky with animated pixel clouds, classic game art style, detailed sprites, vibrant and epic HD quality natural look. So from the previous attempt, Reeve was miles ahead of everyone else in terms of prompt adherence. They nailed the pixel art, the floating castle in the sky, the moat, the various openings indicating lots of secret passages, and it looks like a proper 8-bit style image. The other models produced stuff that kind of had an 8-bit-esque appearance, but were probably a little too detailed, or gave me Terraria style stuff, or there were parts of the prompt that were missing, like the castle in the sky. Like Reeve, OpenAI nailed the prompt almost entirely. So they did get the castle in the sky. It definitely has more of an 8-bit feel than the other images. I still think in terms of that, Reeve wins out. I see loads of openings for secret passages. And on the second image, there is a bit of a lake here, which I don't know if that would constitute as a moat. The Reeve one did have this moat that kind of drips off the castle, but still, I would say this is pretty comparable to the performance of Reeve. So far, GPT's been doing pretty good. So far, I'd say 4.0 is doing pretty good. The next prompt was Ultra HD Photography, Photorealism, Giant Frozen Fantasy Dragon, Glowing Fantasy Dragon Fossil, Fantasy Blue Glowing Dragon, Beast Trapped in Ice, Deep in an Ice Cave. Now, this prompt is intentionally written badly to test how the model deals with a badly written prompt. In this particular scenario, Midjourney actually did the best in terms of figuring out the meaning of the prompt and producing an image that followed through, which was having a dragon that was frozen or encased in ice. Many of the other models kind of did it, but the final image looks like either the dragon was an ice dragon or it could be an ice statue, but it wasn't very clear. And the same thing goes for Reeve. It just looks like an ice dragon trapped in an ice cave. So how did 4.0 fare? Quite a bit better, I think. I'm genuinely impressed with the prompt adherence going on here, as both images look like a frozen dragon. The one on the left looks like a frozen dragon statue, like actually a dragon that's been turned to ice, trapped in an ice cave with no escape. And the one on the right is a dragon skeleton actually in a block of ice. And that's the best interpretation that we've seen so far. That was what was intended with the prompt, and it's also still in a cave. So 10 out of 10 on this particular image. Now, I'm particularly excited to see this next one, as it's a prompt with a group of people, and this is something a lot of image generation models struggle with, especially Flux. When you try and prompt more than one person in Flux, you start to run into a whole bunch of issues. Same thing with Midjourney. Midjourney has historically had mixed results with multiple people in an image. Now, as a refresher, Reeve blew this one completely out of the park, with only Redcraft producing something comparable in terms of quality. The prompt is a group of people in a dimly lit room, all reacting to something terrifying off camera. Their faces show fear and shock. Some are covering their mouths, others clutching onto each other. The eerie lighting adds a suspenseful cinematic effect. So this prompt has elements of multiple people. The people are doing different things. Some of them have different expressions, and it's all encapsulated together with a cinematic look and feel. So how did the models perform? Well, as you can see here, I mentioned that Reeve was the winner. We have multiple characters, no weirdness in any of the body parts, showing different expressions with at least one person covering their mouth, and several others clutching each other in fear, looking at something off camera in fear with dramatic lighting. You can see here from all of these, Redcraft produced a similar result with no weirdness, whereas both Midjourney and Flux had all kinds of weirdness happening in those images. So how did 4.0 perform? Relatively well, I'd say. So let's look for the key elements here. We have a group of people all looking terrified, so great prompt adherence there. Their faces show fear and shock. Yeah, that's all there, with some covering their mouths. So in both versions of the image, we've got 2 to 3 people covering their mouths. This person over here, this person over here, and then all of these are covering their mouths, and others clutching to each other. On the first image on the left, it's kind of hard to see whether they're clutching each other, but they're close enough that I guess you could call it a win. And over here on the right, we can definitely see this guy over here clutching the girl in front of him. So that's also a win. And then the prompt says the eerie light adds a cinematic effect. And again, I definitely think the lighting in both of these is eerie, kind of dim, with a bluish hue over here on the right. So prompt adherence, absolutely phenomenal. I do also want to add that if we dive in a little bit closer to the images, the image fidelity is phenomenal. She does look like her eyes are about to pop slightly, but beyond that, everybody's hands look good, which is something that AI models struggle tremendously with. Nobody's got extra digits, right? 4 fingers plus a thumb, 4 fingers plus a thumb. The arms are crossed in a proper manner. The hand is covering the mouth. It looks perfectly accurate. And the same thing goes over here. This guy's hand is covering the mouth. I will say the shape looks a little bit off. It's a little unnatural when you look at it very closely. The same thing goes here. There are some very minor deformations in her hands, but they're minor compared to what we used to get with other models. And I'll show you in some of the other prompts what the models like Flux, what some of the other models like Flux struggle with, but this is excellent so far. And then again, this hand is perfectly fine, as is this hand. Again, because it's dark, I can't see if he's gripping her properly. It kind of looks like he's blending into her, but that's only because I'm zoomed in. If you zoom out, it doesn't jump out at you. So we're getting pretty close to very usable AI images with no problems in them. Okay, here's another one that a lot of AI image models struggle with. 3 friends sitting around a wooden table on a sandy beach, laughing and clinking their glasses together. Their hands overlap as they hold beers, with golden sunlight reflecting off the glass. The ocean waves gently crash in the background, a bonfire glows nearby, the breeze lifts their hair slightly as they enjoy the warm tropical evening. There is a lot going on in that prompt. And as you can see here, the only winner from this particular test last time was Reeve, where you've got the 3 characters over here, they're clicking the glasses, they're all holding the glasses, there's no blending of hands, there's no blending of objects into the hands. The bonfire is adequately placed near the table. They're sitting around the table, possibly on low stools, and there's not a lot here that leads to you thinking that this is actually an AI generated image. I couldn't find any major issues unless I really dove in. You know, if you come over here to this guy on the right, there's a bit of awkwardness in the leg position, and same thing here on the right, but again, you really gotta nitpick and look for the issues. All the other models struggled tremendously. You can see over here with Imagen, there is a 4th person coming off here. These 2 persons, their hands kind of blend together into the glasses, right? She's got her arm over here, and it kind of looks like she's holding this glass, but then so is he. The bonfire is actually on the table. Midjourney opted for a pastel style image. And again, there's a couple of issues here. She kind of looks a little bit strange. Strangeness over here in the glasses, and the bonfire is on the table itself. Redcraft performed almost pretty well, but you can see here again, there's a bit of weirdness in the hands and the glasses holding. Her shoulder and arm looks off. Her hand is blending into the glass, as well as this bonfire looking like it's a little bit out of place. And here on the bench, she's sitting on the bench, but she's sitting on the sand. And finally, Flux just completely botched it up. This guy's holding the glass with 2 hands. She's blending into this glass. The bonfire's on the table, so all kinds of issues. So how did 4.0 perform? Well, not as well as Reeve. However, it did do a lot of things right that the other models didn't do. Starting with the bonfire not being on the table, so that's already a big plus point here. We've got 3 people holding 3 glasses, sitting on a table in a relatively realistic way. They all look like they're sitting on benches. Faces all look great, body shapes all look great. The only area that is a problem is the actual holding of the glasses and the clinking of the hands, which again looks slightly unnatural. She looks like she's holding this glass with both hands in a very awkward way. Same thing with this guy over here in the middle. And then this guy on the left, his hand relative to the glass size also looks a little bit off. The second iteration, same thing, couldn't save it with the reroll. This lady here on the right definitely has weirdness going on with her arms and how she's holding the glass. Same thing with the guy on the right, but at least nobody's holding it with 2 hands. So I'd say it's 80% of the way there. It didn't perform as well as Reeve, but it didn't do as badly as all the other models. I'd say it's still a step above the 4 other competitors. And the final prompt I'm going to be testing out is, how does the 4.0 model create a website mockup? So the prompt is simply a landing page for a website that involves attractive looking women wearing fitness clothes. It's for a fictional fitness brand website. Again, here Reeve probably performed the best. Again, here Imagen actually performed the best with a fantastic mock-up of the website showing not just the web layout, which is actually very simple, but a great choice of images and text overlay on that particular website. It's very clean, it's very simple, and it shows a great image to showcase the fashion brand products. Midjourney, beyond that, Flux produced a interesting layout for a website that could work, but it still needs a little bit of extra effort put into it, whereas Redcraft and Midjourney just looked terrible. And Reeve's looked half decent, relatively basic website. You've got the menu items up here. It's a decent landing page. Not as good as the Imagen one, but definitely better than all the rest. So how did 4.0 perform? Well, I'd say it blew it out of the park. It performed better than even Imagen's result. Both of these look absolutely phenomenal. You've got a nice website header up here, menu items, get started. Great image choice, again, reflecting the items of clothing. In this case though, it interpreted the prompt as a fitness website, which is fine because we didn't specify that it was for a fashion brand. And I'll come back to the strongest part about this, but I'm sure you've noticed it by now. The option on the right here is also really great. We've got the logo up here, the menu items up here, and again, a great choice for a sample image for the front and center of the website. What I did particularly like, which I was waiting to get to, is number one, the consistency in the two iterations of the website. We've got the same brand up here, fitness, and the generic text. It is perfect. Now, the other models also have text in them. You've got here, join the fitness community. You've got the menu items up here, but they have issues. You know, here you've got home, alone, it's AI dummy text. Right over here on Imagen, you've got the same issue. Midjourney is all producing gibberish, as is Flux. The only one that produced readable generic text is Redcraft. And now OpenAI. This is unprompted. It figured out that we needed some generic text. It put it in there. It's readable and it's perfect and it makes sense. Build your body, reach your fitness goals with our expert trainers. I'm genuinely thoroughly impressed. Now, before we finish up looking at the prompts, I have a couple more that I want to test out to really see the strengths of the new 4.0 model. We've already seen how well the model performs with lengthy and detailed prompts, but how does it perform with text? This is supposed to be one of the areas that the new 4.0 model absolutely excels at. So I've put together a couple of prompts for us to test out and see how well does the model actually perform and how far ahead is it compared to the rest of the competitors. So the first thing I wanted to test is how does the model take pop culture icons and apply it to a different setting. So for this, the prompt is a 90s blockbuster tape for an Avengers movie. And unfortunately, right off of the bat, OpenAI was not able to perform this prompt. The result I got back was that this content might violate our policies, and it probably has to do with the fact that the image would have required the use of actual copyrighted characters or logos. So while it's great that it was able to generate a image referencing an art style from these types of movies, we used Pixar and Disney earlier, when we get specific to copyrighted elements, it starts to give me a bit of an issue. Having said that, it doesn't seem to be as all-encompassing as it might be, as if you go through the Explore section, it is able to reference well-known individuals. And you can see here that somebody generated a meme referencing good old Elon Musk. So further experimentation will be required to see what are the limits of where the model can and cannot reference from. For comparison, this is what Redcraft put together. Not the best. There's a little bit of weirdness here, but it did a good job with the text. We've got the Avengers logo over here. We've got Captain America and Iron Man-esque looking characters. We do have a VHS tape down here, which is kind of blending into the wood, and we've got Heroes Assemble. So there are definitely elements in there that make sense, but I would say the overall image is a 5 out of 10. Reeve, on the other hand, actually blew it out of the park. So all of these cassettes look really cool. They are definitely a little stylized. This one is not quite a VHS, and it's got a little bit of Japanese writing up here. I'm not sure if this is a Japanese format of a VHS, but a few fun little details over here, property of Blockbuster Video. Be kind, please rewind. So I love the fact that it's got all these little details, and it is genuinely frustrating to see that 4.0 Imagen couldn't do this, as I'm sure it would have had similar details. Here's another one from Reeve. Again, we've got it in this red tape, blockbuster written over here. Unique interpretation of the Avengers logo. I have no idea what hero this is. Again, be kind and rewind, and rated 18. So definitely not your everyday Avengers movie. It's even got little scuffs over here. That's really cool. Another one, again, this one is definitely heavily worn. We keep getting these VHS style tapes, but they're not actual VHSs. So that's really interesting. And then this is just the movie poster. And then a blue version, again, with another version of the movie poster. And this is probably the closest thing to a VHS. So coming back to OpenAI, I am going to try and see if we can review the prompt and see if we can't get it to give us a result by being a little bit smarter in terms of how we prompt. Okay, so I've changed it to say a unique interpretation of what a 90s blockbuster VHS would look like if the Avengers movie had come out in the 90s. While we wait for that to generate, the next prompt I did to test out 4.0's text generation capabilities was two women standing in New York looking at a wall full of movie signs depicting different movies in the same art style. I specifically chose this prompt because it would need to create a whole bunch of movie posters with a whole bunch of text reflecting a whole bunch of different movies. So it needs to show the model understanding what the posters are, what's in each of the posters, and create text that's legible. In this case, only Redcraft and 4.0 produced a usable result, so we're just going to look at that. And by the way, in case you're wondering what this image generation platform is, it's my own image generation platform that I've put together where you can try out a whole bunch of different image models. We have all the open source options on there. We've got Google's Imagen. I will be incorporating 4.0 into this once the API becomes available. And it's just a great place to test and compare a whole bunch of different models. You can take your images and then feed them into video models, which we've also got. And I keep adding on more features. If you're interested, please do check it out, as using Kaijugen does help support this channel. So here is the Redcraft one, and we've got the two women looking at the sign. They're obviously in New York, but we're already seeing a bunch of issues. Redcraft had previously performed very well with these text style prompts, but in this case, it looks like it was a little bit too much. The character's face here on the left is deformed, as well as most of the movie posters, resulting in a whole bunch of gibberish text. So this is an absolute fail. I did try and see if Google's Imagen could give us anything. And we did get the two women, again, in New York, walking past the movie signs. They at least look like they're not deformed. The posters fare a little bit better. We do have a whole bunch of posters here that could be feasible. Many of them have very visible elements, but they all have gibberish AI text. Reeve performed decently well. Compared to the other two, it has the closest representation of what I had envisioned, which is exactly this kind of framing, where you've got the two women looking at a bunch of posters. Again, it did a pretty good job of creating unique posters for each of the signs. I don't see much repetition here. However, unfortunately, it did struggle with the text. Every single piece of text is gibberish, with none of them producing anything that is readable. This is where 4.0 blew it out of the park. Both iterations of the 4.0 produced perfectly readable posters that are contextual with the text. Diving in a little bit closer, we've got the Explorer, and we've got a Indiana Jones guy over here with some dinosaur in the back. Attack of the Giant Ants. Okay, no ants, but she looks afraid. Galactic Odyssey, space themed. City of Shadows, like private investigator themed. Rebellion, so The Mummy, all looking very good. Same thing over here. We've got The Lost World with a dinosaur. Horror of the Inferno with a demon. Spy Smash. Adventure in the Amazon. Even the freaking park sign on the left, which has nothing to do with the prompt, is readable. I just can't get over how great the text is. The only downside here is it did opt for a more pastel style image, but that's fine, because we're going to use that in our next demo, where we look at how 4.0 can manipulate images in the chat interface. Now, unfortunately, we're not able to iterate and chat on these, as far as I can tell. So we're going to have to download them and try feeding it into the chat interface. So as I mentioned earlier, make sure that you are using the web version of ChatGPT. Otherwise, you will be defaulted back to DALL-E. Let's go ahead and feed in one of the images that we've provided. And let's say, make this image photorealistic. And let's do something pretty simple. Now, As I mentioned earlier, Google has the same capability. Reeve unfortunately does not. All it does is when you try and upload an image is it turns it into a prompt. So it analyzes the image and basically reverse prompts it. So we won't be able to do anything on that there. So let's open up Google AI Studio and let's drop in one of the images and say, make it photorealistic. Okay, well, Imagen didn't do a great job. All it did is make the image a little bit brighter. And that probably has to do with the fact that the way Gemini works is it tries to actually edit the existing image rather than regenerate it from scratch. And as you can see here, multiple attempts at trying to get it to regenerate is just not happening. It's just manipulating the existing image. However, we can do stuff like try and manipulate part of the images. In this case, we're gonna ask the women to turn around and let's see what Google AI Studio does. Okay, and while we wait for that, we have the response from ChatGPT and we can see here, it did a bang up job of making the image photorealistic. We've got the same posters, City of Shadows, Attack of the Giant Ants, and the two women are honestly an exact replica for their animated counterparts. This is really cool. So now let's try and see if we can get them to turn around. Turn the women around. Oh goodness, yeah. So Google is still struggling with that. And I think that has to do with the fact that we uploaded an image, as when you generate the image with Google, which we are gonna try now, it does do a better job. So let's try this again and drop in the original prompt and see if we're not able to manipulate it much like we would. Okay, well, it generated it very quickly and was not able to generate a great image. Unfortunately, the posters look okay. No good text. Not a big fan of this art style, but whatever. The whole point here is to see how the iteration process works. Make it photorealistic. Okay, so it was able to make it photorealistic. However, not with the level of accuracy that we saw ChatGPT do. So here we've got the two women wearing the yellow sweater, this little bag over here, and a dress, both of them with dark colored hair. The yellow sweater became this white t-shirt. The hair color has changed. So it took the same concept and re-prompted it, but not quite as consistent. However, let's take it a step further and tell it to turn the women around, just like we did with ChatGPT. And nope, it was not able to do that. Let's see if ChatGPT was able to do that. Oh, and it was. Check it out. Attack of the Giant Ants, Galactic Odyssey, same framing, and the women have turned around in the same position, right? Denim jacket, denim pants, dark hair, denim jacket, dark hair, red t-shirt, red hair, red t-shirt, red hair. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, unfortunately, I've been seeing this issue a little bit with the chat version. I'm not sure if it's blurring out the bottom because it just didn't finish generating, or if it's some kind of safety filter. Let's try and ask it. So already from here, you can see how impressive the model's ability to maintain its understanding of the images that you're generating and how we're able to manipulate parts of the image using the chat interface. This creates some incredible use cases, particularly when creating AI movies. And this is something I've gone on about with a lot of AI image generators, where they kind of claim that they've got consistent characters, consistent worlds, but then, you know, if you're trying to generate frame A and you want to generate frame B and you need the same character, you need the same setting, and you want to use tools like Kling or ML Runway's frame connector, you need those things to be consistent. And I think we can finally do that with this new model. And I'm very excited. I'm going to start working on a tutorial specifically on how to do that. We're going to create a AI movie using images and consistent characters, and let's see what we can create. I'm very excited, in case you can't tell. Now, unfortunately, this is a little bit slow. It's a little overloaded at the moment. Hopefully, they'll bring more GPUs online so we can use this a bit more. Unfortunately, this is taking a little bit too long. So I will post up the result of that last prompt up here while I'm editing. So there should be the image up here of what it looked like when it was fixed, if it was fixed at all. If not, I'll put some text up here. So I almost forgot, there's one more cool thing I need to show you guys. And that is this preset function over here. Now the image generator comes with a bunch already preset by OpenAI. We've got here archival, film noir, cardboard and paper craft, whimsical stop motion, balloon world, and so on and so forth. And these are preset prompts that are applied to whatever prompt that you do and can be used to create a consistent style, theme, or visual language across multiple images. If we jump up here into manage, we can see some of them over here. You've got archival, shot on Eastman 100T film. The image quality is grainy and high contrast. Film noir has got its own description, and so on and so forth. Now, this can be incredibly powerful. I've put together a cool one over here. Some of you more eagle-eyed viewers might have seen this TCG card. I'll show it to you guys in just a minute, but let me show you how powerful this is. So I've defined a prompt in here, and I decided to make a Homelander TCG card. So with that preset already set up, I just gave the prompt Homelander, nothing else. And this is what we got. Isn't that awesome? Now, let's have a look at the preset. So the preset is a photorealistic close-up of a rare holographic TCG style trading card held at a slight angle. Only part of the thumb is visible. Title is the character's name. Psychic type icon. Card shows a semi-realistic depiction of a character in an iconic outfit illustrated in the TCG card style. Holofoil surface shimmers in rainbow and gold. Background is warm, cinematic, softly blurred. Slight analog film grain. Card includes fitting TCG style text, layout, abilities, and stats themed around the character's description. Now, I had initially tried to make this a Pokemon style TCG card, but AI kept rejecting the template because of the use of the word Pokemon. However, as you'll see in a minute, it was able to pick up what my intention was by little descriptive items I put in here. More specifically, I put a psychic type icon, which comes from the Pokemon cards. And if we look closely at the text, and this is really what I love about the new 4.0 is I just can't get over how good the text is. The abilities we've got are laser eyes, discard an energy from this Pokemon, dominance. If the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, it is now knocked out. And I haven't played the Pokemon TCG in forever, but do let me know if you play, if these are actual abilities and accurate descriptions. I'm not sure if they are because we've got another laser eyes over here where it says that the defending Pokemon is now burned. So let me know. We've got ability costs up here. We've got card costs up here, ability costs down here, and just super cool. So I'm going to be working on more of these presets. If you would like to get access to them and add them to your own preset library, come and check out the Discord channel. I'll drop a few freebies over there, and then we'll be building out a section over at Prompt Crafters with a whole bunch of these presets. I'll be putting a few over on Discord, and if you want more, come and check out Prompt Crafters. It is incredibly well set up to take different elements from the existing images and put together your own prompt presets. I also think a prompt preset tab is going to be added to it, so you can pick and choose whichever presets you like, throw them in here, and then just generate to your heart's content. But everything that you just seen me do with this image, you can do with uploaded images. So you can take your own images, upload it, have it regenerated as a different art style, anime style. You can try manipulating parts of the image, and so on and so forth. The possibilities are endless. I will be working on another video on different use cases for this new AI image generator. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and make sure you click the bell icon to know when that video releases, as well as the AI video tutorial that I'm also planning to do after this. And if you did find this video helpful, please do consider checking me out on Patreon or using the aforementioned platforms, Prompt Crafter or Imagen. All of those things do help support this channel. And if you do use the ChatGPT image creator or Imagen, please do come and share your creations over on our Discord. We'd love to see what you guys are doing, and it's a great place to share ideas and learn. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.